And now it's your turn to let us know what you're thinking of our recommendations, come up with additional thoughts and questions and suggestions. But before I do that, there's some other folks that I want to recognize that are with us, city employees. These are the folks that make city government work. These are the folks that work tirelessly for you on a daily basis. So I want to recognize Frank Dembowski, the Chief of Staff to the Mayor. Maria Delgado, in the Mayor's office as well. In Community Development, Dave Paris. Naomi Krim. I see my buddy Carlos Codes back there, the City Coordinator. I want to recognize Maya Ceres, who's the Assistant to the Communications Coordinator. And last but not least, my right hand, my left hand, sometimes my glasses, Maritza Loaiza. All right, so what we're going to do now, who did I miss? Oh my goodness. Stand up, take a bow. My apologies. You know, it's difficult to recognize people and friends. Marcelino Colon was telling me this earlier with your mask on, so I apologize for that. It's an oversight. Innocent, by the way. So now it's your turn. Heard a lot of good discussions. I see a lot of stickies up on the board. If you haven't had an opportunity to put your 2 cents in, I highly recommend that you do so. And we have a lot of work to do, obviously, based upon what we've seen up on the board and the discussions. So, at this point, what I'd like to do is ask the spokespersons to come forward to the microphone to talk about 2 things. A, if you like what you saw in terms of the presentation, and B, what else you'd like to see done. We're going to ask folks to keep their remarks 3 to 5 minutes so we can have everybody out of here by 8 o'clock. So, line up. Whoever wants to go first may do so. Angel Figueroa.
Testing. Is it on? Is it? It's off.
There you go.
Testing. 1, 2. First of all, I just really want to commend this administration. I've been involved in the city for well over 20 years, and I want to applaud the fact that you have so many staff members out at this time. That deserves a round of applause because that typically doesn't happen. So it's a reflection of how committed they are to the shared vision of this administration and members of council, of course. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. Tonight, I'm here as sort of an active member and also with Pastor Reverend Jones, and we've been talking about your overall intent to make this very transparent, and I have to commend you. You have achieved that this evening, having it here at the Centro Hispano. So I want to say that my comments, which are obvious, but I need to say them publicly, is that this process has to be inclusive. It has to be a reflection of the residents that it serves in the city of Reading. It has to truly represent the demographic that this city currently has and will have into the future. And I've been monitoring this process for well over a year, up and down the 222 corridor. And you said it, Mayor, this is a once-in-a-lifetime injection of transformational change. And whatever proposal comes before you, as we at iLead have submitted, our commitment is to make sure that it is sustainable beyond the initial injection of dollars. So whoever comes before you, it's imperative that it is sustainable and that they could show that financial stability into the future. I've said this, the legacy of any administration is really recognizing who did you pull out of poverty? How many jobs did you create? How many people, and particularly Black and brown folks, were part of the process of terms of engagement? And oftentimes, there's a lot of rhetoric out there that says, well, they're not ready, they're not prepared. I could tell you as a member of the Hispanic Chamber, there's a lot of great entrepreneurs that are willing, ready, and able to roll up their sleeves and make sure that the vision of this administration comes through not just now, but into the future. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, who wishes to come next to speak? Don't be bashful. Come on up. We've got several tables. She's making her way. And if you could just state your name so everyone knows who you are.
Good evening, Radara McClendon. And so I grabbed 2 sticky notes, which one is mine in particular, the other one I'm just going to share. This person wrote about mental health, and this stood out to me. Gardening therapy, growing your own veggies, pride, togetherness, and sense of community. And one that's near and dear to my heart, gun violence. And we had these separate conversations, Abe, Mr. Kelly, and Mayor Eddie Morán. I would just like to see more money put into gun violence prevention. And this is something I'm really looking forward to meeting with you guys to talk more of and be a part of. And again, thank you for hosting this event tonight. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Any other brave individuals who wish to speak? Yes, sir. Pase, señora, sí.
Muy buenas noches a
Muy
todos.
buenas noches, señora. Vamos a bajarle el micrófono.
No crecí. Sorry. Fue que no crecí mucho, pero sí estoy aquí. Muy buenas noches a todos.
Good evening,
Mi
everybody.
nombre es Lucy Martínez, para servir a Dios y a ustedes. Y en esta noche, de parte de mí y de todos, para todos ustedes, tengo algo muy bonito que expresarle. Y dice así: el Centro Hispano ha estado aquí sirviendo a la comunidad por más de 50 años. A pesar de la pandemia, nos vamos a ver forzados a mudarnos de este edificio para otro lugar. Servimos bien bonito, hemos servido bien bonito y tendremos que recibir más dinerito para poder expandir más programas para la comunidad.
Muy bien, déjame traducir si puedo.
Yes.
Poco a poco.
Sí.
She was kind enough to say that the Centro Hispano, which is a community asset, is outgrowing its needs and this building and is looking to move as well, but remains steadfast in its commitment to the community.
Ok. Necesitamos clases para computadoras, clases de inglés, viajes educacionales y equipos de ejercicio para los envejecientes como yo.
They're looking for computer classes, senior services y ¿qué más?
Clases de inglés,
English classes y también
viajes
ejercicios.
educacionales.
Educational trips for
Sí,
the
señor.
seniors as well.
Sí, señor. Y clases de ejercicios.
And exercise classes, of course.
Y equipo, que no tenemos
And
equipo.
equipment.
Y de ejemplo les sirvo yo. Yo pertenezco a un grupo nuevo que hemos hecho en estos días atrás, gracias al señor Toledo y a Miss Giri. Nos esforzamos mucho haciendo ejercicio y gracias a Papito Dios y a ellos, yo soy una bella mujer, soy preciosa, pertenezco aquí al Centro Hispano y soy feliz.
Muy bien.
Y ojalá que todos los niños hicieran como yo, vengan al Centro Hispano, participen, nos tratan bien bonito. Muchas gracias.
She is a very active. She is a very active senior. She's proud of the fact that she maintains exercise with her group as well. She was very thankful to Mike Toledo and his staff for making that a possibility, and she also hopes that everyone else would do the same thing as they get older. So, muchas gracias, señora. All right.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, it's such a pleasure to be here. This is better than what I expected. Not just because of what I got out of it personally for our vision and our intent for the city and our proposal, but also to see and hear all of the other visions of so many creative and innovative people out here. I'm excited that there's so many people out here that have so much vision and commitment for Reading and its future, and it's just amazing to me. And I gotta say that I've already witnessed and experienced the transformation, because I can tell you that in the last few months it's been such a pleasure to drive down the streets of Reading. It's just so smooth, and I can see the improvements and I can see the commitment, and it's all paying off. It's just great stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you, look, my name is Robert Morgado. I'm with OPF Studios, Our House Productions Films, and I'm a filmmaker. And like I've told a few people here, in the last year I've done 7 film projects here in Reading. And that happened, you know, COVID hit everybody really hard and everything closed down. I'm local to here to Reading, but I'm an actor and a filmmaker, and we've done a lot of projects up in New York. And when COVID shut everything down, I'm sitting here in my house, and I saw some stuff happening in the news, and I wrote a script, and I literally went from script to screen in 90 days, and I did my first short film. It's an award-winning film, and we shot it right here in Reading, and I couldn't believe how quickly I was able to do that. And after that, I said, we were gonna shoot a big project up in upstate New York, and I said, well, I had a great experience with this short film. What's the likelihood of being able to shoot it down here? And the producers and everybody says, if you can find a location, we did. We were able to do what we needed to do. And we shot a feature film last year. It's in post-production right now, and it's getting ready to get released hopefully in the spring of next year, with some major actors that came down here. But in 1 year, I've done 7 film projects. So our goal is to be able to bring in industry here and studios here, permanent studios that's going to create jobs. Not jobs, but opportunities. And one of the things that I tell everybody is that in Reading, it's not that there's a lack of talent, there's just a lack of opportunities. And I can tell you that you've worked on our projects. Mateo Toro, who's an incredible talent over here, I found him here last year, and he's already worked on, I think, of our 7 projects, 4 of our projects. He even flew to Asturias, Spain, to scout out some locations for us that we're going to be shooting next year in Spain. So there's a lot of talent here, and I want to make sure that in our project, our commitment is not only to bring in the industry, but also to create training opportunities for people to learn that industry. And I welcome any project to be able to work on investing not just in building jobs and the economy, but in human resources, human training. And our commitment is that as well, to be able to train people who otherwise would not have had that opportunity unless they moved to Hollywood or moved to New York to learn the film industry, that we're going to be able to provide that. And I hope, looking at these projects, that there's other opportunities in other projects as well that's going to train for the future. And our investment is in the future, in our human resources here locally.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Hi, I'm Brad Wavels Jr. I'm pretty sure plenty of people here know me. So I had a really dynamic group. We had really great conversations. One of the big things that came up when we talk about the very first ask that we were put together when talking about the presentation was, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the pastor's point, is that there was a conversation about how, as anybody who's been in this situation or done these things for the last 10, 20 years knows that when these types of things happen, a lot of times the grassroots community isn't brought to the table first. And part of the conversation that was at our table was, how can we're already here. How do we move forward? And I want to commend the mayor first and foremost in just giving these opportunities and creating the platform for us all to be able to come together, to be able to be heard, to have our voices out there. And that is a testament to his leadership in itself. And like I said, the conversation was just, and now that we are here, how do we make sure that the voices of the grassroots, the people on the ground, the people that are doing the daily work is heard, is recognized, and is supported. So that's the first step. So one, we say that we did appreciate the presentation. We understand everything that's going on. And the mayor also did a great service in coming over to our table and talking about why it was done in this manner. And we all understand that in dealing with these types of things that you have to cross the T's, dot the I's, and make sure that you can account and say, hey, we can cover and handle this type of situation and this type of ask. So once again, we take our hat off to you and everything that you're doing in this situation. When we talk about how can we strengthen this and what we can add to this, as many of you know, my thing is art and technology, and that's going to be my first goal, first love, and first thought when we talk about these things. And when we talk about art, we've talked about how do we use art from an economic development standpoint. So we're not just doing art for the sake of art. How do we use art to create lighting, safe, walkable communities? How do we create destination locations? How do we invigorate our community? But also in that same step, how do we use local artists so that we're creating economic development within our communities? How do we empower our local communities? And also when we talk about infrastructure, one of the things that we talked about in our group is if we're talking about 3 million or close to 4 million in infrastructure for renovating our parks, let's not just talk about how do we fix a swing or how do we fix a slide. How do we look at innovating our parks? One example is Kutztown. Kutztown, just being our neighbor, is one of the only, is the only city in Pennsylvania that has municipal broadband, meaning that a resident can purchase their broadband service directly from the city of Kutztown. With that, it allows for Kutztown to have free Wi-Fi in all of its parks. If we're talking about how do we innovate our parks, how do we create situations that have our youth wanting to go and wanting to be a part of our communities and take care of those type of parks, how do we look at infrastructure that says just that? How do we create Wi-Fi in our parks? How do we create solar charging stations in our parks so kids are now able to charge their cell phones, their various different devices, so now they want to spend time in the parks? And even in that same conversation and continuing it further, when we talk about broadband, how do we then say, hey, can we invigorate our downtown business community by creating free Wi-Fi in downtown? Now that creates a opportunity that causes more potential businesses to want to open a brick and mortar in downtown, because now that's one less service that they have to take care of. And now it creates an air of atmosphere where people want to be downtown because they now have access to Wi-Fi and be able to now continue on their day. So if we're able to look at infrastructure projects and say, how do we create sustainable projects that don't just patch something? We don't want to put a Band-Aid on something. We want to grow something. We want to build and grow things that we can now tout as stories that enhance our community, and we can be talking about this not just nationally but internationally. We have so many community partners, so many various organizations that can come together to create these things and be a part of these things. It's just how do we get all to the table? Once again, as the pastor's saying, bring those grassroots organizations that are doing the work together and make this thing happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of excellent comments. Yes.
Actually, Brad, you covered a lot of what I have now too, so that was great. Yeah, as far as that goes, I mean, just to add on to what he said, infrastructure, and oh, my name? Lori Bellman. I am a resident of the Center Park Historic District, and I also own a business here right on this block.
Wonderful. Welcome. Thank you.
For a lifetime of, actually 2 lifetimes, because it was my dad's business. So,
good.
So that's where I'll start, since Brad kind of covered the community part and the greens and the parks. There's so many things that need to happen other than replacing playground equipment. You need to think about the future, and I hope that that's what happens, and get lots of community input and investment, because to put a Band-Aid on something then doesn't work for the future. Get community investment, get neighborhoods to invest in what they're doing, either by sweat equity or fundraising or whatever. Have something that is in it for them too. So let's talk about business. It was one of your talking points there, and there is very little so far that talks about business other than a facade improvement grant. Facade improvement grants are great, but everything behind the facade is falling apart too. You know, I just recently sold my building, and the new owner needs to put a new roof on. He would love to have some kind of matching grant or something like that, and if you can tie that in with climate change and green energy and so forth, let's put a program together that addresses the infrastructure of our buildings themselves. and really target it to the downtown business area, to get people to come in from outside of the city and to develop here organically from within the city, so that you have both the city residents and the entrepreneurial spirit that's here in this community already, but it also gets the investment from outside the city to come in and buy into what Reading has to offer. And like he said, broadband that you can offer for free, tick that off your list. Do you know how much you pay for that as a business? $300 a month. If I don't have to pay for that, that's great. So, you know, you need to think about things not only in terms of neighborhoods and communities, but if you really want to attract business, start looking at their bottom lines. The things that takes, you know, we have to upgrade plumbing. We have to upgrade our electrical. We also would really, and I don't know if this can happen through this program, but much like you have a dedicated person for 3 years to pay for neighborhood initiatives, why not have a business initiative, dedicated person in City Hall, almost like a business concierge, that walks you through, literally takes your hand through City Hall and walks you through City Hall and says, this is what you need. You need a codes okay here, you need a license here, you need a zoning here, and if those departments aren't helping, that concierge has the mayor or you to say, this person in this department isn't doing their business and their job, because I know from personal experience that has happened. It's very difficult to navigate all the things you need to do as a business owner. If you want businesses to invest in the city, if you want businesses to grow from within the city, make it easy as possible to do that. And lastly, all the other things, always keep climate change and global warming in mind. You don't just have sidewalk improvements, you have sidewalk improvements with a tree pit. Because as a resident, and I know we tear down our trees because we don't want to mess up our sidewalks, but if you're going to give a sidewalk grant, make them plant a tree too. And, you know, give them a tree or whatever, but say you can get the sidewalk, but you need to plant this tree. Trees have shown that they decrease the temperature in our cities. It helps in storm runoff and everything else. It's a very simple requirement. Require a tree pit and a tree in it.
Very
Thanks.
good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I saw the mayor jumping out of his seat, and I'll tell you why. Let me finish my point, and I'll tell you why. The mayor, just today, was reminding us as staff of his campaign promise to create a business liaison office that will help with small businesses, to Lori's point. So
I just wanted to add, if I may, you know, it's funny when you said that, I just looked at him. But also, we have to remember that with the ARP funding, there are some limitations for some creation of employment and staff growing. Also, I wanted to remind that we're still in Act 47. So that's why I haven't been able to fulfill, not promise, but commitment that I mentioned during my campaign to have a business liaison office in City Hall to navigate exactly what you mentioned. So your resume will be waiting for.
yes, ma'am, go right ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Josie, and I have to thank my group because we really had good, heated conversation, correct, at some times. But one of the things that I did want to mention was my passion, which is small businesses. Being able to go out there and meet the small business owners and entrepreneurs in the city of Reading, I was able to find out what they're lacking and why they're failing or why they had to close down. And one of the things is that they're lacking training. A lot of them don't even know how to keep records, financial statements. They don't know anything about that. So we need to educate them on all of the accounting, okay, so that they're able to keep good accounting. I went to a business person and all of his records were kept on a receipt. That's how he gave them to me. And I'm like, this is not how. He was not able to get the grant that I was applying for him because he could not show that he had a loss, because he was not reporting everything. He was paying a lot of his employees under the table. We have to let them know and educate them. That's not the way to run your business if you want your business to grow. So actually financial stability, record keeping, Computer technology, that's very important for the small businesses. They have no idea. I had to go with my laptop and actually help them fill out an application. Just even helping them fill out applications. And the other thing would be computer technology, English as a second language. That's one of the things that's very important for small businesses. And being the interim executive director of the Berks County Latino Chamber of Commerce, that's one of the things that I want to bring to the table, is being able to offer these programs to the small businesses in the city of Reading, in Berks County. I'll tell you, Berks County. When I went out to help the small businesses fill out grants, I did not only, and I'll let you know, not only focus on Latino-owned businesses. No, that's not what we're about. We're about helping every small business in Berks County, okay? Whether you're Black, Japanese, Romanian, we helped a Romanian guy. Whether you're, it doesn't matter, Vietnamese, it doesn't matter what your race is. We're here to help you if you need the need, okay? So we're hoping that we're able to move forward and get whatever funding, we're able to get to be able to provide the services to the small businesses. It's very much needed. They're the thread of the city of Reading. They're the thread of Berks County. They're the ones that employ, okay, our people. If you go to restaurants, a lot of the restaurants can't even serve a lot of people because they're short-staffed. Why is it that they're short-staffed? Okay? Why is it? A lot of times they're not educated. They didn't do good record keeping to be able to sustain their business. Okay. We are the ones that need to educate them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Any other groups? Yes. Yes, sir.
My name's Bill Sheeler, and I represent the Reading Firefighters Museum. And I have a lot of friends here because I worked at Centro Hispano. I was the only English-speaking person that never spoke a word of Spanish. They helped me tremendously. Got good friends, Mike, Marcelino, Jean, Maria helped me, thank you. Anyway, thanks. I am just here originally to badger the administration and the council for money. I've changed my mind. I want to make a public service announcement. Come to the Firefighters Museum. A lot of people haven't been there. It's a great place. I can quote the mayor and I can quote Abe. It's a treasure, it's a gem. We welcome you. Please give us a call, look us up, come to see us. You'll appreciate it. We want to be a center. We're at Laurel and 5th Street. If you don't know where that is, I think you can find it. And we welcome all of you. We want you there. I apologize for taking the opportunity, but
Thank you, Bill.
couldn't resist.
Thank you for that shameless plug. All right, since we're almost out of time, I'm going to turn over the microphone for the last word to the Honorable Eddie Morán, Mayor of the City of Reading. Mayor?
I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I asked the staff that we needed to do this. I tasked them, and we came with many different creative ideas without knowing what to expect. I assure you that I got a lot more than I had bargained for, because I heard you. I heard you. I heard you. Mr. Wavels, thank you. I heard you. Mr. Dr. Reverend Brookings, thank you. Because the conversations that occurred today were honest, were not shameful, were not hidden agendas. There were honest conversations that I heard throughout the room today, and many things that I probably had overlooked. My father, who passed when I was 9 years old, he used to tell me a saying in Spanish, "Dime con quien anda y te diré quién eres," which translates, "Tell me who you're walking with and I'll tell you who you are." Well, I can assure you that I'm walking with some very fine individuals tonight, and for that I thank you. Mr. Figueroa also alluded to the wonderful staff that is here and have worked tirelessly and without complaining. And another thing that I often say is that my commitment was that I would surround myself by the best professionals possible that would advise me on the bigger picture issues. And I think I gained that. So I'm going to ask every city employee that's here tonight to please stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Maria, you're standing, right? Stand up. All right? Stand, everybody. Round of applause to you guys. Round of applause to you guys. Now, city government wouldn't be functional if it's not done in unity. And, you know, they say we're stronger when we're united. So when we work closely with city council, it makes things happen that much easier. So stand up, please, and receive a round of applause for what you do. Lastly, but not least, I said it, and I'm going to sound redundant, but I will. I bargained for something, and I got a lot more. And for that, I thank you. So a big round of applause to you all for your commitment of being here tonight.
Sorry to interrupt, Mayor, but 4 more years, please. 4 more years.
Okay, and last but not least, I want to thank the Centro Hispano and the staff. Please stand up, all those here from Centro Hispano, and receive this welcome applause for all you do. With that said, again, thank you. We'll make sure that everything that is written, everything that was suggested, everything that was discussed is not taken in vain. If there's one thing that I hate, is to waste my time. I could have been home with my family, having dinner, having my wife appreciating me for being home, but I wanted to be where I needed to be, which was with you. So this time, I don't want it to be in vain. I want it to be fruitful and productive. So thank you, God bless you. This is only the first. We're gonna have a second and we're gonna have a third to make sure that everybody is heard. So, muchas gracias. Yeah, please, thank you.
No problem at all. Again, on behalf of the Centro Hispano, I want to say thank you to everyone. You know, I think it's important to understand where we are right now. We're at a crossroads. We're at a true crossroads. Number one, for the mayor and the administration team to determine that the Centro Hispano would be the first place to have this community conversation speaks volumes to the role of the Hispanic Center as an anchor organization in this community. But more importantly, look around this room. Look at the true diversity that we have in this room. And that truly is the fabric of what the mayor speaks of and what the Hispanic Center has built its foundation on. We are not just a host, but we are a convener of people who want to work in unison for collective impact. Each of you have a role to play in that work. It is an opportunity for us to really be transformational. And that's what I heard here tonight. I heard transformational ideas that will take the city of Reading to another level. So again, my challenge is for each of you, let's not be the last time that we see each of you here. The mayor cannot do this alone. We need him, he needs us. Let's make a commitment to his administration that we walk in unison to lift our city and our community up. Thank you all so much for being here. The Centro Hispano, you're always welcomed here. Again, we appreciate your commitment to the mayor and to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Again, get home safely and enjoy your evening. God bless you all.